Sorry, I have to just say again, because some of your friends are in different time zones and they cannot watch it. So, okay, for today, just Google download Knime. First link. So I already downloaded today. So, but if it's your first time see such a page, put your email address, name, and then you get to this page and download the version that you want. Yeah, I have to repeat the first part. So some of your friends are downloading and installing. So while they do that, just keep in mind I posted a competition, Adobe Challenge, and it seems there's good incentives for it. So basically, so it's some cash incentives, I think 60K, and also they said if you be among the top competitors, they might pick you for internship and job, full-time job. And I think they're really good companies. They are supporting this competition. So let me see. Yeah, cash incentives are really good. Also, it seems this company is looking for intern and full-time jobs. So these are really good companies. This is the time schedule. So you should, if you want to attend, submit your team by tomorrow, and you could have me as your mentor. And there's like sometimes that you go to over training and Q&As, and basically in 2 weeks, not 2 weeks actually. So 2 weeks after, so you almost have 3 weeks for your project. The cool thing, if you be able to get one of those prizes, you get A, and you could be happy for the rest of semester. So you come to the class and learn, but you don't have any. You don't have to submit any homework or final exam. You get automatically you get A. And however, let's say if you don't win any prize from this competition, you still can use the data for your final project. And so you want to, I don't think you use anything if you want to attend. And I think you already have a group. Although you submit your first deliverable, you can change it, and in 3 weeks you can be ready for the competition. Hopefully you win. I think some of you are not muted, so let me see who's not muted. Okay, ask. Okay, now I think everybody's muted. Who's not interested to this challenge at all? Who's interested? I think it's half of you, maybe. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I think for this, I haven't looked at the data yet, and probably I joined to the kickoff meetings or some training sessions, but most likely some parts related to visualization, some part predictive analytics. So, which we cover next few weeks, or at least next 1.5 week, you can learn most of it. So hopefully you would be in good shape for the competition. But they didn't let you to do that? You should register your team for the challenge. At least so far two teams from you guys registered. So hopefully, I'm not sure how many more registered. They didn't let me know, but two teams told me that they registered for the competition. So any questions about downloading Knime or the Adobe Challenge? Could you say again, please?
For this competition, the things that we learn in class, if we execute that on a good data
Yeah, I'm your mentor. If I think you need something more, I change the syllabus a little bit and teach. If you guys major is analytics, probably you already have something similar in like Python classes. So hopefully that would be enough. Okay, so for today hands-on experiences, please download everything which are in the week 5. So go to the class materials and download everything. This was okay. One of your friends just asked me which version. So if you're Windows user, download the first. Linux, just there is one version. If you're a Mac user, download this version. So what we do today, if you want to do in Python, it might take 2 weeks, but you can do it in like 5 minutes. Okay, let me delete this project because I already loaded them. So let me just remove. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's open the 2 Excel files that I posted. One is car sold upload. So as you see, we have 7 columns: brand, car brand, I mean just random brand, color, the date they produced, price in euro. Is it the owner? Is it a company own it or a private person? Is it used or new, and sold or not? So as you see, I have one column about sale, and I have like 6 other columns. So the goal is predicting the last column, which is sold or not, based on its characteristics. So I have 6 characteristics: brand, color, produce, price, owner, and is it used or not? And I'm just trying to predict the last column. So also, if you open the other Excel file that I gave you, card, brand, state, upload. So as you see, it has brand name and the country name. So I don't have the country name in the first Excel. So, but maybe if you remember SQL, you can join these 2 tables together. So you can use the other Excel information as a one column in your major Excel file. Okay, this is 2. And let's say you develop a model. So you divide your data into 2 sections: train and test, or train and validation set. So, and you're happy with the performance of your model. What can you do? But what's the point of developing a model? So let's say train a model that could predict what happened. Let's say after some period of time, what would happen to my car if I can sell it or not? What can I do with that model? What's the point of doing that? So this data set is about a car inventory and what happened after a period of time. And let's say after a certain period of time, so you could sell some of the cars. For some cars, you couldn't sell. So you could train a model that can predict the sold column. So you can, basically that model would give you a good estimation in terms of what would happen to a car in your inventory. Could you sell it or you could not sell it? So let's say you are a car dealer and you go to the market. I mean, it could be internet. So through the internet, you see some cars. Maybe you can decide if you want to buy them or not. So based on your previous experiences and the model that you trained, your model would tell you, okay, if you buy this car, maybe after 1 month or 2 months, could you sell it or you could not? So it led you to make a decision whether do you want to buy a new car or not. If you look at, what's the other one? Okay, new data. So new underlying data. Okay, so now you are a dealer and you go to the Craigslist or other websites and you see 8 new cars. You already train a model. Your model would say, could you sell this car or not? So let's say if my model says, sell, no sell. Okay, let's say I use the previous data, train a model, and my model said if you get these cars, you can sell 5 of them, and maybe you could not sell 3 of them. So it helps you to make a decision whether do you want to buy those cars or not. So you don't want to buy some cars from Craigslist, put your in dealership, but you cannot sell them. So anyway, this is one example. So in this example, you train a model that helps you to make a decision. The decision that we are targeting is, do you want to sell a car or you don't? Do you want to buy a car or not? And based on your model's prediction, if whether you can sell it or not, you make your decision. So for future, you're not sure, but you train a model and you can look your previous data in your history and check if you randomly pick a part of your data set. How accurate is your model? Maybe if your accuracy is like 80, 90%, you could say, maybe I can trust it in future. But let's say if it's like 50%, 60%, maybe you cannot trust. So what we do actually, so based on this data set, which comes from the history of transaction or your inventory, so you randomly divide it in 2 sections. You train a model in one section and you predict the other random section. So if your prediction accuracy is enough good, maybe you can say, okay, I can trust this model on. You couldn't trust. Is there any other questions? So you got the point, right? So what is the goal? What we want to do at the end? So at the end, we want to make a decision-making tool, a tool that helps decision makers to make a better decisions. So as a dealer, you don't want to randomly buy some cars and maybe you earn some money or you don't. But at least a tool could help you to make a better decision. I'm telling you a real story. So at the end of summer, I wanted to move to a new place and I hired 2 guys. So as movers to take my stuff into a new place. And they look so nice and educated. I was shocked. Usually the movers, you don't expect that much of politeness and like being so nice. And I asked them, I got friends with them, and I asked them what about their education and their other jobs. One of them was a Russian immigrant, and he told me he lost 70K in crypto market. So it seems he just randomly bought something and he hoped for future growth, but he lost 70K. And he said, I'm in a very tough relationship with my wife, and I have to work in the moving company to compensate my loss. So sometimes, I mean, if you make some random decisions, you end up losing a lot of fortune. So what we learn in this section of the course is just making a better decision. We don't want to randomly do something that you may lose a lot of money at the end. Okay, so one way of learning Knime, you just memorizing modules and those commands, but it never works. So a better way of learning such a tools is just looking at the previous workflows that other people developed. You can learn from them and you can make something on top of it. So having said that, we want to be more time efficient. So just click on the ml_project1.knwf. This is a workflow that I already developed. So if you click on this workflow, so your Knime would pop up and you see such a page in your Knime software. So it automatically brought into my Knime because I already installed it. So click on Save As because I want to have it within my Knime. So if later, if I want to go, get back to the file, I have it in my Knime. So if on the top right of the page, there's a Save As button. Just click on it. And you can rename it or change the location, but just press OK and next. And now, if you look at the left side, I have ml_project1. So it's saved within my Knime environment. So I already gave you one workflow. But sometimes you search or Google it and you find some other people's workflow. But you see such a thing, Excel Reader XLS deprecated. It just means they have someone who made this workflow, they have the older version of Knime. Usually there is no issues, but if it's like too annoying for you, you can just search for the name. For example, I don't like this deprecated module. So here in the search bar, so in the lower left side of your Knime, I search for Excel Reader, the first one. I drag and drop it here. So look, now I have Excel Reader from newer version of Knime. And it's a very common thing that you see when you Google about other people's workflow. You might see so much of deprecated modules, but that usually you don't face any problem. It just means they have older versions. If it's annoying, just search for the name in the Knime search bar, and you can just replace with the new module. Anyway, so our goal is learning from previous data, predicting something in future. So the first part is just loading the previous data. As you see, I have two Excel Reader module. Just click on it. So let's say your project is a CSV. So you should search for CSV reader. So don't suck if your data set is CSV. It just means you just need to drag and drop new reader, which is for CSV. So first part, browse, and let me just move it somewhere else. So just click on car brands state upload and press open. And data would be here. Just browse to your the file that you downloaded. Cars brand state upload. And just leave everything as default. I mean, later for you, based on your project, maybe you need to change some of the defaults, but for now it's. Oh my God. Okay, what's your question? You see such as a brand and state table. Okay, so just click on this module and browse to the place that you have cars brand state upload. Support? Why you're saying it's not support? You didn't find your file. So cars. Just find the proper file name. So just click on the file that you need. So if you click on some like a CSV file, you cannot import it. And do same for the second Excel reader. Just click on it.
Then what do you click on apply once you finish the file? Right?
Yeah, please either apply or okay, both of them.
Is there a way to put Excel reader? But mine is showing the CSV reader.
You download the Excel file. So when you browse, you should find the exact file name. I think you are clicking something else.
And then do the normal file.
Browse from your Knime, browse to that folder. Go to your Knime. Go to your Knime. Click on CSV file.
Yeah.
Browse. I think you need to change your language. It doesn't support Chinese. Just look at it. So if you use other languages as your default, for example, if you use Chinese as your default, you cannot see the folder. So just search for the folder and search for the location that you have Excel file. So far, we just had two different Excel files. We brought them into Knime. So if it's the first time you load it, let me just reset. The icon would be yellow. So first time when you browse it, just right click and press execute. Now you run the module. Yeah.
How do you do it? Like green light?
Huh?
How do you do it? And you show the green light.
Just right click and press execute. Okay, so we have seen that I had two Excel files, one about brand and the country of the brand, and another one other information. Now I want to join that two tables, and the only common information is the brand name. So I have a joiner module. If you click on the joiner module, you see that I have two tables. Brand is the common one, because the only way that you can join two tables is based on common information or common key. So just leave everything else as default. Press OK, right click, and execute. So after execution, right click on joiner, go to the join result. See? Now, next to brand, I have a state information. Yes?
If we have these kind of software available, why do we learn things like SQL and everything, which is like so much more complex and it's so much more time?
Why you learn SQL? Because these things are for basic SQL commands. So in SQL, you can do much more complex things, and you might end up in a project that first part needs a lot of SQL knowledge, and this is the last part. So it's really, I mean, SQL is a really important skill that you need to learn. Even for some of your friends had big data class with me in the morning. In that class, they need to do a lot of things based on their knowledge in SQL. So it's a really basic knowledge. But if your major is not analytics, or maybe you don't do that much of analytics jobs, maybe SQL looks annoying for you, I know. If you don't use it, it doesn't seem productive. Okay, so what I did, so I just download the two Excel files, brought into the Knime, and joined them based on a common column name. So from now, I just show some random modules that may not be useful in this project, but maybe your project is important. For example, filtering some rows. So if you click on the row filter, so as you see, I said focus on the brand column. So column to test is brand. And I just say include row by the attribute value. I just want to include everything that in brand column is alpha. You could exclude, or sometimes you want to limit based on lower and upper limit. So if you, I'm not sure, I think if you go over Amazon, maybe sometimes you sort, sometimes you want to focus on some specific brands. It's something similar to what you do in the Amazon search when you want to purchase something. So here, just as an example, which eventually I don't use it, but I just want to show you there is such a thing that you can filter your rows. So I just say on the brand column, I just want alpha as a brand name, and I just want that one to be included. So press OK, right click on row filter, and press execute. Then if you right click on row filter, again, so if you want to see the result of your module execution, just right click, and usually one of the last items is related to the results. For example, here filter it. So as you see, now I just have alpha as a brand. Again, it's not necessary for this project. I just want to show you some modules. You don't have to. You can right-click in the last module and execute all of the module before it will be executed. But here I just want to teach you one by one, so I just run it one by one. But it's a really good question. Also, you don't have to right-click. You can just select one of the modules and click here. I mean, there's the execution button there. Or next to that, there's execute all. So the next module is for sorting your columns. I think it's very obvious. So let's just double click on column resorter. So you can, it could be based on A to Z, Z to A, or you can just manually move up and down. Let's just produce. I just click down, down, down here. Let's put sort as the last one. I press move last. Or maybe just this one. So this is for sometimes it's just for entertainment. It's not really necessary. So again, right click, execute. So the next module is for grouping. I want to group based on brand and color. As you see, in the right side, I said these two, these are the green sections for group columns, brand and color. And the red ones, it means I don't want to consider them for grouping. So in your project, maybe you need to group based on different factors. So press OK, right click, execute. Again, I right click and I go to the last item, which is group table. And as you see, there's just brand and color, and I have 13 combinations of different colors and different brands. I wait like a few minutes so you guys can just, if you couldn't catch up, so you can catch up with me. And if you have questions now, please ask. So otherwise, I don't want you guys stuck in at the end. And also, I've noticed some of you might have some language problems. So please change your default language to English. So otherwise, some of the softwares cannot find your data. If you haven't done it, or since you don't have mouse, this one don't have to. If you double click, you go to the configuration. And in some places, I ask you to change the configuration. You want to run it ever. Execute. And if you want to see the result of your execution, now I have a stage. Wasn't there? So it's right click is difficult for you. But just that, just here, I just want to focus on the ground color, and I just want to analyze the ground. Good. That's the simulation. Right? Actually, Could you get your file? So the next module is about pivoting. Hopefully you already have experiences. So I'm pivoting a group based on brand. My pivot is color, and the aggregation function is just mean of price. If you haven't, if you don't know what is pivoting, that's okay. Even probably you don't need it in your project, but in case you already have experiences, so you need to identify a group variable, a pivot or pivot variable, and also the aggregation function. Press OK, right click, and execute. So if you want to see the results, just right click, go to the pivot table, or one of those items at the end usually is the results of your module. Yeah. And you don't have to follow my exact variables. This is for learning purposes, and you don't need for this project. So you can change the variables. That's fine. So let's see how much time we have. Okay, let me just do what you need for a project. Then I go to extra modules because I put so much of extra modules. Maybe you don't need all of them, but let me just go over the project completely. Then I go back to the extra modules that I put there. So just forget the other modules, some extra thing. Just go to the partitioning. So you might remember we divide our data in two sections or some folds. Here I want to divide my data in train and test set. So if you click on partitioning, as you see, I said 80% train and the remaining test. There is a random seed number here. So you can select and pick any number that you want. Let's say 110. So there is a randomness in all machine learning algorithms. If you don't pick a random seed every time, your result will be slightly different. Could be slightly different, but that's okay. Even if you don't change or don't choose a random seed, that's totally fine, especially if your data set is very large. Here I just pick 110, but it's not necessary. Anyway, so on partitioning, I right click and execute. And as you see, previous to partitioning, there's some other modules, all of them got green. Okay, so my data is divided in two sections. One section is for training, which is the upper section or upper link. The lower link is for prediction. So do you see I put the module of decision tree learner? This is a machine learning algorithms I want to use to train my dependent or target variable. If you click on it, the class column is sold because this is what I want to predict. And it uses the other variables to predict that column. So just right click on decision tree and execute it. It's pretty fast. It's one of the fastest algorithms. So I use the 80%, the upper section, for training a model. So, by the way, if you want to add some comments, if you think it's necessary, just right-click and put an annotation. So, for example, here, just see this part is for training. And you can change the font, or maybe if it's too big, you can just make it smaller and put it somewhere. Or you can just change the location of these modules. Doesn't look that much fancy, but still you can. My point is you can put some comments in your workflow. Okay, so upper link is for training. Lower link is for test. One of your friends asked me how reliable is it? Amine actually asks, so how we can trust the model? We already had a random section, which is 20% of our data. After training the model, we test that section to see if it gives us good accuracy or sensitivity, specifically other measures. So look at the, after partitioning, look, it goes to decision tree predictor. So this is our 20% test set. So the predictor gets two inputs. One is the 20% of the random data. The other link comes from decision tree learner. This is the model that we already trained. So if you click on this module, so my mouse doesn't work. As you see, just leave everything as default. This, you can change some parts, but that's okay. So right-click and execute. Any questions so far? You got the point, right? So in partitioning, I divided my data in two sections, train and test. In the train section, I train an algorithm. In test section, I test if my model is reliable, if the model that I train is reliable or not. So we want to see if it's reliable or not. So it's through a scorer module. So I put a scorer module to see if first column is solved, is what I want to predict. Second column is what I predicted, or what my model is predicted. You just need to change these two columns in your project. Press OK, right-click on scorer and execute. I just want a brave student who tell me what is the accuracy of the model. So how could you check? Yes, you are very brave. Arzu, thank you. Yeah, just what you want to check what happened, just right-click, go to accuracy statistics. For me, 72. So my random seed might be different. So it might be because of random seed, but you know, my data set is very small and it's not actually, it's not a good model. For you guys, it was 80%. For me, 72.
No,
just
it's 72
for you guys too? Okay. So it seems reliable.
Yeah.
So if one of you give me like, use another random seed and you said 80%, somebody says 70, somebody says 75, this is a sign that model is not reliable. Everyone has that much drastic variance. But let's see if I find 72, you find 73, V maybe 74. So that's 1 or 2%, that's okay. But if it's like that much drastic differences, it's not a reliable model.
Does it really depend on what number you put in the random seed? Does that affect the reliability?
It could affect the accuracy,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't affect too much. If it affects too much, it means you don't have a reliable
What if
model.
I have to put a 10-digit number in that?
That's okay.
It's okay.
So let's change the random seed here. If it's at the, I put 110. Let's say put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let me execute everything up to a scorer. So execute. What What happened? Okay. So let me just reset and then execute again.
My accuracy can be
82. So is a big sign of not having a reliable model. So I changed the random seed and things changed drastically. So
When you see the output data, we have some are green and some are red. So what is the
you got some of them green, some of them not green. What you mean?
so the decision tree predictor,
This one,
this below one?
this one.
Yeah. So if we right click and open the data after.
Classified data.
So some are green and some are red. But on the left.
Yeah, it's one of extra modules that I did. So one of the modules that, so it's not useful actually, but look, I have a module for a color manager. So that's okay. Yeah. So assuming that you're happy with the model, although we had 80 to 72, it seems not a good model. But what if it's that much great that you want to use it for future? And I teach you how to have a more reliable model. So
I have a question.
Sure.
So how can we say that it's reliable when like the input number that we put as the seed, the what is it called?
random seed.
Yeah, the random seed. If that changes the reliability so much, how can we like without putting a random seed predict how much
Okay.
how reliable?
If you want to do it with a random seed, I teach you in one session that we use cross-validation. So instead of just one test, one train, we make 5 tests, 5 train.
Okay.
So when you do cross-validation, you look over all the accuracies. If it's close to each other, you are happy. Because you divide your data in 5 different random settings. Here we divide one time, and it seems it's not that much great. But let's say we are full enough that we want to use it for future use. So what can we do? We need to export the model and just keep it somewhere because you don't want to develop all this workflow again. So if you look at next to my decision tree learner, there's a PMM writer. It just gives an output of my model. It just lets me to use it for future use. So if you click on it, you need to browse one place in your system. I put it sale pred underline DT, but you can just select any random name that you want. Press save, OK, and right-click execute. So next time when I use my model, I don't have to make this workflow. This is like the basic abstract of all of my workflow as a model that I trained. Yes, but your project workflow, probably you need to add some modules. It depends on what you want to do in your project. This is a basic module, sorry, a basic workflow. Depends on your project. Maybe you add some module, you drop some module, and some of the modules are not useful here, like maybe column resorter or color. So one module is just for changing the color. So maybe you don't have to have in your project. Yes. So you probably have a workflow. It could be more complicated or less complicated.
Sorry, let me rephrase. You have a final project like an individual coming up on the code.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. 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 Okay, guys, we got back the internet. Okay, so far we are able to run, and through PML Writer, we export our model for future use. So go to your Knime, the Knime section, class materials, and click on PML car predict .knwf. So this is just a workflow that we use new data to predict if you can sell a car or not. As you see, there's a save as. Please save it. Do save as so you can use it for future use. As you see, I have two deprecated modules, but that's okay. I still can use them. If you cannot, just search for a newer one, drag and drop, and use a newer version. Usually, when you Google some workflow over internet, most of the time, when you drag and drop in your system, you see so much of deprecated module. That's still okay. So what I do, I have two inputs. First, the model that I already trained before. The second, the new Excel file that I want to predict, because I want to make a decision if I, as a car dealer, do you want to buy a car or not? So on PML Reader, just double click, browse. So Sale Predictive PMML is the model that I already trained in the previous workflow. If you save with different name, just pick that one. Press open, okay. Just reset it, everything. The second one, the new Excel file that I want to predict, just click.
Professor, I cannot see your screen.
And find the new data.xlsx. Oh, sorry, they couldn't see. Okay, so for people who just missed, so what I did, PML car predict is a new Knime file. Just click on it. And when you click, you get it into the Knime. So this short workflow is just for predicting future. I have two inputs. One is PML Reader. You browse to PM Save Pred DT. So this is the file that I already trained in the previous section. Press, you bring it. The second one, Excel Reader XLS, is the new data set that I want to predict. Just click on it, browse, and find new data. So PML Predictor uses the model that you trained and apply to your new data. Right click, execute. So if you right click, go to predicted data. So now I have a new added column of predicted sold. For your friend over Zoom who didn't see, so if you go to Excel Reader XLS, right click and go to the output table, I don't have any sold column because it's let's say it's a new data. I want to make a decision if I want to buy this car or not. But after running PML Predictor, now, okay, based on this prediction, is it a good idea to buy the first car in the row 0? Why? Yeah. So based on this model, if you buy the first car in the first row, you can sell it. So what is a good idea to buy it? What about car in the row 5? No. You cannot sell it. So what's the point of buying the car while you cannot sell it? There's a question here. Oh. So the last column is just for some reports, right click, execute. Again, go to view, table view. So it's not necessary actually, but it's just for showing the predictions. And there's not much of thing for the last module. I cannot hear you. Let's go. No, it's not this. This is the one. It was not a model, it was a random set, model so some of you have a question. So we almost had the one model, but the accuracy was different. There is one reason here we changed the random seed. So the prediction might be different. The one that I put on Moodle, let me just load it again. This one, PML car predict, no, sorry. What was the, okay, cell per DT PML, it was built with another random seed. So it's the reason you are getting different results. And it's a good indicator that we don't have a good model. A different random seed shouldn't change the accuracy so drastically. Also, you don't have to basically download my PMML. Here, with PML Writer, you can make your own. So you can click on PML Writer, browse. So for example, I put Arzu dt.pm. Oh, you can put your name. Save. Now, when I want to load here, oh, I'm not sure where did I save it actually. Okay, let me check again. I saved it. Oh, I didn't run it. Let me execute first. Then I go here, browse, RZDT. So you don't have to download mine, and you can just export yours and use it for your own purpose. So today actually was a good practice. We have seen with a different random seed, we had drastic different results. So it seems we need to have a better way of relying on our model. One is cross-validation that we basically practice in one of our sessions. Okay, so let me see. I think we already almost ran out of time. So here I put some extra modules that are not necessary actually, but next time I show you some of them. But just as we just have 5 minutes left, just do this activity. So after joiner module, let me just open it. So if you go to over your joiner, right click, and if you go to join results, do you see I have a produced date column? So as a class activity, search for a module that you exclude year and month. On top of this, I want to basically produce 2 new columns, one for the year, another one for month. And you see both here, but I want them to be in the separated module. You can Google it actually, or maybe here in the search bar, So I have a search bar. You can search for a date module. I give you a good bonus if you can find it in 2 or 3 minutes. So until you're searching, actually making such a thing in Python, I think if you ask your friend, it takes forever. And it's your first time working with Knime, next time you can make this project in 5 minutes. Huh? Yes. I don't want to forget, could you send me a text over Telegram so I can remember you had a bonus? So yeah, look, we have a module extract date and time field. Just drag, put it somewhere. I just take one link from joiner. So I take my mouse on this black rectangle, drag your mouse, and just take it up to the new module that you just imported. So double click on it. So you can easily select what you want. So I want year and maybe month name. Right click and execute. Again, right click and go to output table. Now I have a year column, a month column. And similar could happen to your project. Maybe for your project, you need to add some modules. So you either can Google it or search in the search bar. Let me do it again. So you wanted to add 2 new columns of year and month. Okay, let's do it again here. So we wanted to extract month and year. Your friend either Google it or just did through the search bar. And he found extract date and time fields. I drag and drop it here. I need to have some inputs to be able to extract the date and month. I went over joiner to put my mouse on this black triangle, drag it and drop it on date and time fields. Then click. I select year and month name. Okay. Right click, execute. Again, right click, output tape. So do you still cannot do that? No? Yeah. No. The active triangle. Yeah. Okay, I got your friend's challenge. So what happened? Okay, let's see what was your friend's challenge. So I drag and drop extract data time module. When you want to connect the modules, you should connect from active nodes. In the joiner, two of the triangles are not activated. There's a, red cross on them, but one of the triangles is active. So just take your mouse on the active triangle, drag and drop on the new module. If you click on it, now you can see year and month. Okay, that's for today, and I'm glad you guys have asked so much of questions because it's the good way of learning. I didn't cover some extra modules that actually are not needed. I just put for sake of knowing them, which is much better that we learn the modules that you need. So next classes, we try to answer two questions. One, how to have a more reliable model. Also, the second question, how to do other type of prediction. For example, text mining, how to do text mining. For example, how to read the tweets data and do prediction. And also maybe how to do clustering. And also for having a reliable model, we want to look at two things. One, other performance measures like sensitivity, specificity, AUC. Also doing cross-validation and just see how reliable is our model. Thank you very much. We had a really good class today. So as you see, for the Adobe challenge, is basically the same. You either make a workflow from scratch, which is not probable. You can just Google, find some other people workflow, drag and drop. You probably need to add some modules like the date time extract that we just searched for. Okay, that's for today. Thank you very much.